Hi, I'm Ryan Nickel, CTO at DSA Ocean, and today I want to talk about how you can get some adjustment and fine-tuning of the number of panels you use in your hull model for hydrodynamics analysis in the ProteusDS ShipMo3D toolset. So let's look at the generic offshore supply vessel project. When you look at the sample project that you can download offline, you'll notice that there's a region in the middle here with sort of more coarser mesh here, larger panels than in the front where there's some more interesting geometry near the bow and then the stern. So for comparison, you can see something with a little bit more uniform kind of mesh like this, and that might be nice for consistency and numerical conditioning. But why would you want to consider something like having this variable density mesh? Well, for computational purposes, really, it's a trade-off on performance versus the level of detail. And what kind of difference might you have? Well, if we look at the runtime for the radiation and diffraction calculations, we're looking at almost 10 hours for this ship model with many thousands of panels in it. We cut way back on that by having larger panels in the middle, and the result is under half the computational time. Still a fair amount of time, but it's quite a lot less. So how can you do something like this in Rhino 3D? I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's jump over to Rhino now. Here we have, in one of the other tutorials, we showed how to clean up the geometry from a 3D scan, and we've gone through the shrink wrap process. Now this is not the mesh that we're going to use for the hydrodynamic analysis. We need to do a quad remesh because there's just way too much variability in capturing all the geometry here. It's not suitable for hydrodynamics analysis. Now generally speaking, for this kind of hull, there's a lot of interesting stuff at the bow, there's a lot of interesting geometry at the stern, but in the middle it's kind of just sort of like a box. And so that kind of lends itself to, possibility of making this area a little bit more coarser and seeing what we can do. So how do you do that? Well, remember the process was you apply a quad remesh to the shrink wrap here, and you can kind of adjust the size of the panels, but that applies it over the whole thing. So the strategy we're going to use here is to split this mesh up into multiple sections and then apply quad remesh to them individually. So how do we do that? Well, if you go to the Mesh Tools panel, and then what's really easy if you just pick Mesh Plane here, what you can do, like what I would do is sort of like look around for where we don't have any big changes in geometry. So this kind of looks about right. If you look over here, you can kind of see where it is in the different views, right? So it's something like around there. And what I'm going to do is just click here, bring it across, and then over here in the front view, that didn't quite do it the way I wanted, but we'll just make a big mesh like that. So this is going to be our cutting plane. It's not quite lined up the way I want it, but that's okay. We can just move it into place like that real easy. And you can see we've got a nice orthogonal cutting plane here. Now we need to add another one. So we'll do the same thing. You can see there's some contours here. That's where the geometry is changing. Maybe we want to cut it somewhere about there. We'll do the same thing again. So, right around maybe here. Yeah, that looks about right. We'll do that here, like that. And then again, just making a big mesh like that. And then what we want to do is make sure that we're going to use these as the trimming objects. So we want to make sure that it's encompassing the whole section of the ship there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go to under Mesh Tools, you'll see this Mesh Split option. So we click that and it says Select Objects to Split, and we want to click this hull, press Enter, and then the cutting objects. So the first one, we're going to select this one, and it cuts through the front part and the middle part there perfectly. Well, we need to do it again over here. So let's unselect everything. We'll do it again. Mesh Split, select the objects to split. We want the rear half of the ship, and press Enter, and then the cutting objects. We're going to pick this plane back here. There we go. Now we have 1, 2, 3 separate sections. we delete these cutting planes. We don't need them anymore. And here's where you can do the quad remesh separately. So maybe for the middle, you know, we'll have way coarser elements. We'll do preview, hide input objects. And well, that's pretty coarse. Maybe not 500, but you know, I don't know, something. I mean, that might work fine. The proof is in the pudding. You know, use it, judge for yourself, and see if you're happy with the results. So that's one level of detail. So we'll delete the input objects because we don't want to keep that as part of the mesh. Now, same thing back here. We'll do quad remesh again. Quad remesh. Now for the back, we want to use more detail. Oh yeah, and the symmetry axis is always a good option because you know it's going to help keep things nice and symmetric. When it's making the mesh, we'll hide the input objects. You know, I think you're getting the idea here. You know, we might want to fine tune that a little bit later. And here, of course, the front's got a lot of really interesting geometry. I'll do preview, hide, and delete input objects. And maybe we could use a little bit more for that. All right. Well, you can play with it, but to see if you get something that you're happy with. But really, I just wanted to show how you could go about getting a bit of a variable mesh depending on your ship project. All right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.